I've just, like, I've talked to my mom about it, because I had, like, some interviews where they'd, like, ask, when did you start drawing, or, like, being that kind of question, and I was like, she said that I was holding a pen at, like, 12 or 16 months or something. It was, like, really not, I was really little when I started drawing, and then once I started drawing, I never didn't have a pencil or pen in my hand, like, ever. So it just, like, was how it was, and, like, I was just that person while going through school and was, like, expected to do this stuff, and that was just, it was never like, oh, okay, maybe I'll try this out. It was just always there at all times. Like, it never, it's just, yeah.
You just always known.
Yeah, and then,
what I'm gonna do.
yeah, it kind of, anything else would be really, wouldn't feel right at all, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like, if nothing else would really.
Did you train to be an illustrator?
I started going to school for fine art, and then got real tired of it real fast, because nobody was, like, forcing me to do anything new.
Right.
And I took this one teacher, Baron Story, and he taught illustration 1, and he's just, like, this amazing good guy and teacher, and he's done, like, the craziest work, and he did, like, that Lord of the Flies cover, and he just really just brought so much more into making stuff. He, like, made it so much more passionate, you know?
Right.
That I just was like, what? I'm not getting anything out of painting, you know? Like, I'm learning more about painting and illustration and using other mediums and, like, taking care, like, protecting myself from getting to, you know, like, it was so all-inclusive with everything that I was interested in, and, like, forced me to use other medium that, like, I'd never would have probably tried before. And then the other, I spent, like, most of my time in the print department, so, because I could take, like, electives. It's like and energy. I, like, need to be doing stuff all the time, or else it just feels wrong to not be making stuff constantly. Whether it's, even if it's just, like, cooking food or gardening or, like, taking care of our chickens or like anything, there always has to be something going on. So, like, even when I, like, go out to, like, see a friend's band or something, I have, like, a project with me all the time. Or when I'm traveling, I'm, like, also usually working on something while I'm away. Like, when I was just away now, I was, like, working on my friend's record cover. So it's like, there's always, like, something that's the way it makes sense. And it always just, like, kind of builds up and works out. So it's like, as soon as I'm finished with one thing, there'll be, like, the next thing right away.
Right.
And it's always like that. And, like, that's totally what I'm used to and how I like to be doing stuff. Kind of, like, pushes you to, like, do more with what you know? I don't know. And it never, like, gets tiring either, because I have so many projects going on, and they're all really different. Like, I have clothes I'm making at home and here, and then, like, a bunch of fabric stuff, and then, like, art, like, paintings, and then I also have, like, wood burns at home, and I have jewelry at home that I make, and then
Never know.
it's just every single thing I'm moving around between. I started being really interested in, like, Native Americans after I started finding out more about my family's lineage. So I found out my great-great-grandma was, like, an Indian princess, and she married a French fur trapper. Her name was Sophie Canoia, and she, like, had this crazy life. And
How'd you find out about that?
through my grandpa. It's, like, on his side, my mom's dad. And we just would, like, find out. I didn't really know that much about where I came from until a few years ago. Maybe, I guess nobody really thought to be like, oh, this is where we come from, you know? So, and then it became really, really, I wanted to get as much knowledge as I could, and just kind of, like, it was really intriguing to, like, see where you're coming from, and then be able to, like, kind of link. I had all these interests and didn't really, I just I was like, oh yeah, that's just normal. But then I kind of was like, oh, maybe this is because this one thing happened in our family, and like it all kind of started connecting in the last few years. And I started finding out like about my dad's history, which my mom didn't even know about. It's just like all this crazy stuff just kind of came up in the last few years, and I've been really interested in like family ties and just like the way people are linked together and like family histories, and so that's where all like the Indian imagery comes from. I just think it's really beautiful, and everything's like handmade, and like everything's utilized so fully, like just like even through eating.
Started for you.
I mean, if you look at Oakland, it's pretty amazing. Like everything's totally falling apart, but it's also like really made with like a whole lot of care. Even now, I don't know, just like the buildings that we go into or like find that are abandoned, and like the stuff we end up taking out of them, all just is like are things that I really adore. And like biking around, like I bike everywhere and just see all these like amazing buildings that are crumbling, and it's kind of like, why would I not want to be drawing that? Like it's just really interesting to me, and the way that like people's lives tie into like where their homes are, and like what weird shelters they can turn into homes, and like how everybody's connected. And I don't know, I just really think buildings are, and like homes are really interesting. And there's like these secret lives that like go on in houses that like nobody sees. And once you go in, there's like the person like is the room, you know, like everything. Like my room looks completely the same as. It just makes a lot of sense. Everybody that comes in here is like, oh, obviously.
Oh wow.
This one's a headdress that I actually like wear.
It's gorgeous.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Just because. So like, it's really just like, oh, I want to make this one thing. So then, and then this bottom part like also like can close around your mouth and be like totally closed. But I like bike around in this.